haven't been to a corporate holiday party in 4 years. This year, so many of my friends just like didn't go to their work parties because they were like, oh, it's lame. Like, oh, I don't know, I'm just tired this year. I would kill a man to go to a corporate party right now. My office is thousands of miles away. I have nothing. So today we're gonna fill that void with planning my outfit if I were to get invited as a +1 to someone's holiday party. Please invite me to your office party. But I'm not gonna just draw any outfit to any holiday party. I'm gonna be drawing the best ever holiday outfit for the perfect comeback for when I re-enter society. And to do that, I've written out a bunch of Christmassy themes, and I've put them on a randomized wheel. And whatever two it lands on is gonna be the 2 themes that I will mesh together to make the perfect, sexy Christmas outfit that my boss will see me in. Okay. Yes! The Grinch. That's a perfect beginning. That's a great start. And let's see what the next one's gonna be. Okay. Candy cane. All right. So out of the 2 designs, this first one, I was having the most trouble with. I don't know if, I forgot how to draw because it seems that I have. The second drawing took less than half the time that the first drawing did. The first drawing is so bizarre because it doesn't feel like it's in my style at all. It feels like someone else drew this, and I don't know how that happened. But, in the end, I think I saved it, and it's a little bit different than how I usually do it. So first, I'm starting off with just a pose of the character using this random ad that I found on Pinterest. And I'm using that same pose. She's putting on her high boots. So I'm gonna wear some knee-high boots in this outfit. I'm not drawing myself or anything. I'm drawing what the model is wearing in the magazine that I see this in. And then I say, I need to buy that because she looks amazing. So I'm starting off with this janky pose and I'm looking at Grinch stuff to see how I can, make the costume work. A lot of Grinch themes is very green and fuzzy. So I'm putting this big, old-fashioned, what do we call Marie Antoinette neck thing. I'm thinking a candy cane corset, maybe it's leather and stiff. For her hair, I was thinking about keeping it down, maybe making a very Whoville hair, but the thing around the neck is so insane that I really think I have to dial back on the hair. And what I came up with this really 2000s, just like spiky bun at the back, all the hairs, it's all the ends and it's all sticking out which way in there. And then I'm trying to simplify the bottom of the outfit because it's top heavy. It's crazy at the top. And then I'm blocking out the colors, seeing what I can come up with. Because it's green and red, there is there's such a specific red and green when it comes to candy canes and the Grinch that it's you can't really go away from it too much, or it's not gonna exactly look like what I'm trying to create it. But it's also not a color scheme I'm used to working with. So I have a base of my outfit, and then I'm starting in to do a tighter sketch, which is first of all already unusual because if you know anything about me, I usually just draw right over the sketch, but I don't think I was happy with the sketch enough to draw right over it and start with color. So I'm doing this thing that I never do, and no wonder it doesn't look like the rest of my drawings because I'm using a different technique going into it. And at the end, I liquefy it just a little bit and I change it a little bit and I see if that works better. The idea with these bangs is that there's little like pieces that are out and she's using like ballroom hair, like she's using glue and making it all whooshy on her forehead. A little bit Whoville-esque. I'm seeing if that would work. So now that the lines are done, we're, gonna see if we can put those colors in. And already I'm having issue with the face. I'm like, this is not a face that I've drawn before. Why did this come out of me? And how can I make it work? And I don't solve that until a little bit later. It's tough out here. Come on, give me a break. So I'm just blocking in the silhouette to create, a tighter flat lines. I'm going with her skin tone because the colors are so, they're complementary colors, green and red. I want the rest of the colors to be a little bit neutral, so I made her skin like very pale, pinkish. I don't think it was the right color, but in the end, I think it works. I tried to maybe throw in the candy cane elements by having her hair kind of be like dipped pink at the end. I don't know if that works. So then I kind of change it by the end, and I also changed the color of her hair a little bit later. I'm checking it in black and white to see if maybe my greens are too bright and my reds are too dark. So the idea is that I'm really playing with texture here. So her fuzzy neck piece is very fuzzy, but I take the other Grinch elements, and instead of making them fuzzy, I'm making them shiny and leather. And I think that's a fun contrast as opposed to like what you typically think of when you think of Grinch, which is all fuzzy. But I don't want it to be like every other Grinch outfit for the holidays. I want this to be a very unique one. So I'm doing another contrast by making the boots the red, which is candy cane. It's hard, it's shiny, but I'm making it velvet. So I'm kind of playing with the contrast here. I'm giving her tights that are a little bit see-through green to kind of throw that in. I originally had like a candy cane pattern, but it was a little too loud. It was a little too much. And because there's already so much going on, I have to simplify where I can. And I'm just adding color variation, and then I'm trying my best to see what's going on with this face, because if you know about me is that I have issues rendering faces. I've only recently started to learn how to do it. So when I started doing hair and I didn't intend to render this face, I was like, what am I doing? And why does this look all weird? I wanted to keep it simple, but the face is just so like sparse in details that I felt that I had to continue rendering it. So I was a little frustrated, so I moved on from the face. I thought I'll come back later, and I'm just finishing out some rendering things, making that neck piece feel really fuzzy, super fuzzy, you know, fixing the above the, when the leather hits, there's a little bit of fuzz sticking out of it, and I think that's a little bit fun. Don't at me about the perspective. I know it's a little funny. It's a little bit weird, but that's all the fun of it. It's funny, and I like how the hair, the back of the ponytail kind of mimics that fuzziness. And I also ended up putting these little flyaway pieces, like kind of like a mini bang. I think that was a good compromise between that one that I just couldn't get right because it was so blonde that if it was wrapped around the forehead, it didn't quite look right, and it was just really busy on the face. I really think it was important to simplify, so I simplified that part. And then around this point was the point that I realized that I don't like it. What's going on here? This is a weird head. I've never drawn a face like this before. So I started to just, with a layer on top, like throwing in as much fixing as I can. I'm trying to save this with all my life. I end up merging it all together and like squishing some face elements, adding just a couple of accessories here and there. So you could see I'm like pushing this face in, trying to make the proportions a little bit less weird. And it looks a little bit less weird. It's giving me Spice Girls. It's giving me what I think my mom looked like in the 90s. I think that she would have a ball wearing this. I'm throwing around some gradients so then I can play with the colors a little bit more. But I end up going with something like this, trying to make it a little more interesting because I feel like I need a little bit, you know, I'm putting lipstick on a pig. I'm trying to make it look better without changing the drawing. And I'm adding some rim light. It always adds a lot more volume and a little bit more interest to pieces. So I'm doing that. I take a long time debating whether I'm gonna keep it or not. I'm flicking back and forth because I don't really like adding rim light. I like a flat drawing, but I feel like this piece really needed it. Adding a little bit of shading so that rim light feels more grounded, and then carving in some of that shading, you know, and then that piece is done. And, you know, showing up to the function, my Grinch and my sexy Grinch costume. Okay, let's get started with the second one. Let's spin and see what our themes are. Okay, and Krampus. Okay, let's do the second one. All right, gingerbread. Okay, right now I'm thinking a lot of brown. I'm worried about the amount of brown that will be in this outfit, but I think we can work with it. What does Krampus look like? Okay. It's a Christmas demon. Okay. Perfect. I started off being like, okay, there's no way that I'm going to do this good. Like already the style of this piece is starting to look a lot different than the first, and usually I like when I make two pieces back to back, I want the style to be a little similar so it looks like they belong together, right? They could work side by side. And already it looks very different, but I'm like, you know what, the first one was so bizarre to me that, you know, maybe it's good that this one is a little different. So I'm starting with a little bit of Krampus energy with the horns at the top, a little devilish, maybe some horns on her shoulders. And then I'm also trying to maybe put in like big fuzzy elements, because when you think of Krampus, you think of like German folklore. But when you think of gingerbread house, I also think a little bit of a little Swedish boy. So I'm thinking for this costume that it's gonna be, you know, a little bit olden time European. I feel like a little bit of inspiration for that can work with both Krampus and gingerbread. I'm adding a little bit of silhouettes from like an old, like an old Danish costume or something like that outfit. I keep saying costume, and I think that mindset leads to this outfit being a little bit less sexy and a little bit more costumey, which, you know, I'm not a big fan of. Like, you can definitely come to Halloween like this, but is this your sexiest Krampus costume that you could show up in your work office party? I don't think so. I think it could have gone a little further, but I digress. So I'm starting to, you know, make a tighter sketch, which I did in my last one, but I kept it a lot more loose, and it really stays in the vein of a sketch. This drawing took so much faster than my last drawing. The last one took maybe an hour and a half. This one took 40 minutes. I was whizzing by. I'm a quick as a rabbit, quick as Krampus on Christmas morning, stealing children away. And I'm adding a lot of gingerbread themes in her outfit, little like gumdrop buttons and frills and bows and like icing elements. But I'm also trying to keep it a little bit creepy, a little bit like a demon, a little bit like something like that, a little evil, right? So you can barely see it, but her boots are like these big furry like leg warmers, and I think that's a little Krampusy. Especially, I'm also adding a little sheer like cape that has fur on the bottom. I think that's a bit Krampusy. I like that her hair is slicked back. It's kind of, I don't know, it's giving an evil vibe. And I'm going forth with a gingerbread colored outfit, a little brown, because I think that's a bit Krampusy, adding some grays where I think the Krampus elements meet, and adding these bows, little frill, keeping it very dark because I do want it to stay creepy. I don't want it to be too light and friendly. I don't want it to be too gingerbready. I want it to lean a little bit more Krampusy, because when I do these colors, I kind of realize that there's a lot of gingerbread elements, and the only Krampus I see is the horns. So I'm trying to bring in a little bit more of a creepy edge to it. And I do that, actually I don't remember how I do that. We'll find out a little bit later when I get back to that. So I'm going in, I'm doing that cape that I talked about. I lower the opacity, you know, kind of like, you know, like a night, you know, those like sexy nightgowns. That's kind of the idea with that. So I'm rendering a little bit, I'm adding color variation. This one's super quick that I do, adding like this icing pattern on the bottom of the beginning of the cape, adding some blue hues because it's very warm toned, it's very purple. So I wanted to add a little bit of a neutral color there. Adding little chains, a chain link for her earrings because Krampus has like chains on him, I think. So I try to do that. So her face is very Krampus, but I think the outfit isn't Krampus enough. A little bit later, I go in and I add a chain like around her hips a little bit, you know? I don't know. I'm working on it. I'm seeing what works and what doesn't. Just carving out a little bit of silhouettes right now, and, you know, adding some shine and texture so you know exactly what texture it is that we're looking at. Pushing some elements further back in space and adding some details like shines and little indentations and fur texture and shiny texture. Tightening up her eyes because the eyes are really important to the character, to like understanding who the character is, so I do that a bit. And then at this point, I go in and I say, well, this isn't Krampus enough. Where can I throw in this chain? I put it at the bottom of her skirt, and I'm also putting some tassel-like things around the back of her cape, as well as like horns on her shoulders. And if you turn her around, you can't see this part, but if you turn her around, her whole back is very Krampus, but you just can't see it from the front angle. So that's part of the costume. Krampus in the back, gingerbread in the front. And then I also throw a bell in front of her bow because that feels Krampusy, because he's like a goat man, right? So like there's more animalistic parts on her, so I think that's cute. And then after this, I'm just throwing in some highlights, throwing in like some gradient ramps, doing my final touches. I'm very surprised that this was so fast that I'm trying to see what else I can do to it, but I'm like, I like this. I don't want to keep touching it if I don't have to. So it was really quick to finish this one, and I'm very happy with her. And I think that if it was just maybe a little sluttier, a little bit more skin, a little less costumey, maybe if I elevated the haute couture-ness of it, I think that would have been a really good outfit to wear at the Christmas party. So those are my 2 outfits, and let me know which one you want me to wear if I ever get invited to a Christmas party. Which one would you wear? Boys, are we strolling up as Krampus to the office party this year? Leave your opinions in the comments, I want to hear them. This was a fun little exercise, little challenge that I did. It's one way to get in the holiday spirit. Like this video if you're Team Grinch, and subscribe if you're Team Krampus. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!